Ryan Carter, 32, leaned over his laptop in the quiet of his Chicago condo. The city's skyline, a faint glow through the window. It was past midnight, and he was finalizing details for a surprise anniversary trip to Spain. He'd spent weeks researching Barcelona's vibrant streets, booking a boutique hotel near the Gothic Quarter, and securing dinner reservations at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Mediterranean. The trip was his gift to Lauren, his wife of 5 years, a chance to reignite the spark that had dimmed in their marriage. Ryan, a marketing executive at Apex Solutions, thrived on planning, whether it was a campaign or a romantic getaway. His dedication showed in the way he mentored his team, staying late to help a junior colleague polish a pitch or sharing coffee runs to ease their stress. But lately, Lauren, a 30-year-old school counselor, seemed distant. Her responses clipped, her eyes glued to her phone. Tonight, Ryan noticed her absence again. Lauren was in the next room, texting furiously, her thumbs dancing across the screen. "Everything okay?" he called out, keeping his tone light. She didn't look up. "Just work stuff," she muttered, her voice flat. Ryan shrugged it off, chalking it up to her demanding job at Lincoln High. He'd seen her stressed before, but this felt different, colder. Still, he pushed the thought aside, focusing on the trip itinerary. He imagined them strolling through Park Güell, laughing over tapas, rediscovering the connection they'd built over a decade together. The trip was in 3 days, and he couldn't wait to see her face when he revealed the full plan. The next morning, Ryan was at Apex Solutions, leading a brainstorming session with his team. His charisma filled the room as he sketched ideas on a whiteboard, rallying his colleagues around a new sustainability campaign for a major client, Foodwave. The $10 million contract was at risk, and Ryan's strategy, eco-friendly packaging to cut logistical costs, was their best shot at keeping it. His phone buzzed mid-sentence. It was his boss, Carla, summoning him to her office. "Ryan, we need you to present the Foodwave pitch in Chicago this week," she said, her tone urgent. "They're wavering. If we lose them, it's a domino effect. You're our closer." Ryan's stomach dropped. The pitch was scheduled the same day as their Spain flight. "Can we push it?" he asked, already knowing the answer. Carla shook her head. "This is your moment, Ryan. Nail it, and you're on track for promotion." Back home, Ryan broke the news to Lauren as she sipped coffee at the kitchen counter. "I have to stay for a client pitch. It's huge. Foodwave could pull out if we don't deliver. Can we reschedule Spain?" He waited for her reaction, hoping for understanding, maybe a suggestion to adjust plans. Instead, Lauren set her mug down, arms crossed. "I'm still going," she said, her voice sharp, eyes fixed on the counter. "It's all booked. I need this." Ryan blinked, caught off guard. "Alone?" he asked, searching for a hint of compromise. She nodded, still avoiding his gaze. "I'll be fine. You do your thing." The word stung, not for what she said, but for what she didn't. No concern, no discussion, just finality. Ryan stood there, the weight of her indifference settling in. "Okay," he said quietly, turning away. The conversation ended before it began, leaving a hollow ache in his chest. The next day, Ryan threw himself into prep for the Foodwave pitch. He stayed late at the office, refining slides, anticipating questions, and running mock presentations with his team. His focus was laser-sharp, but Lauren's decision gnawed at him. Why was she so quick to go without him? He remembered her late-night texts, her vague excuses about work. Doubts crept in, but he pushed them down, telling himself it was stress talking. That night, he texted her, "Have fun in Spain. Let's make it up when you're back." Her reply was a curt thanks. "Will do." No warmth, no emojis, just distance. The morning of her flight, Ryan drove Lauren to O'Hare Airport. The car ride was quiet, the radio filling the silence. He glanced at her, hoping for a moment of connection, but she stared out the window, scrolling her phone. "Call me when you land," he said as she grabbed her suitcase. She nodded absently and walked into the terminal without looking back. Ryan gripped the steering wheel, a mix of guilt and unease tightening his chest. He told himself it was just a rough patch, that the pitch would keep him busy, that they'd fix things when she returned. But as he drove to the office, a nagging thought lingered. Something wasn't right. At Apex, Ryan channeled his energy into the pitch. The Foodwave execs were tough, grilling him on cost projections and scalability. He countered with data, confidence, and a vision for sustainable growth that left them nodding. By the end of the first day, he felt the tide turning. His team high-fived him in the hallway, but the victory felt incomplete. Back at the condo, alone, he checked his phone for Lauren's message. Nothing. She'd landed hours ago. He texted, "You okay? Made it to Barcelona?" No reply. He stared at the screen, the silence louder than any argument they'd ever had. That night, as Ryan reviewed pitch notes, his phone pinged. It wasn't Lauren. It was a notification from a friend, Alex, who was also in Spain. The message read, "Saw Lauren in Barcelona. Thought you were coming too?" Attached was a photo that stopped Ryan's breath. Lauren at a candlelit tapas bar, laughing, her hand resting on a man's arm. The man was Noah, her co-worker from Lincoln High, the same guy Ryan had questioned months ago after spotting flirty texts. Lauren had sworn it was just friendship, but the photo told a different story. Their ease, their closeness, her smile brighter than he'd seen in years. Ryan's heart pounded. He zoomed in, searching for an innocent explanation, but none came. The timestamp showed it was taken an hour ago. His phone buzzed again. Lauren's belated reply. Landed. All good. No mention of Noah. No hint of truth. Ryan sat back, the room spinning. The pitch, the promotion, the trip he'd planned, all of it faded against the betrayal staring back at him. He thought of calling her, demanding answers, but stopped himself. The photo was enough. He opened his laptop, pulled up the Food Wave presentation, and got back to work. Spain could wait. Lauren's lies could wait. Right now, he'd focus on what he could control. But as he typed, a resolve hardened inside him. He wouldn't let this break him. Not now, not ever. The Chicago skyline glowed outside the Apex Solutions office, but inside, Ryan was locked in, his laptop screen casting a harsh light on his focused expression. The Food Wave pitch was in its second day, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The client's executives, a tough crowd from the food industry, peppered him with questions about logistics and cost savings. Ryan countered with precision, presenting data on how Apex's sustainable packaging could slash their carbon footprint and save millions annually. His team watched in awe as he navigated curveballs, turning skepticism into nods of approval. By midday, the lead exec leaned forward, scribbling notes, a sign they were buying in. Ryan should have felt the rush of victory, but his mind kept drifting to the photo from last night. His wife laughing with Noah in a Barcelona tapas bar, her hand on his arm, their ease unmistakable. He hadn't slept much, replaying the image, dissecting every detail. The timestamp burned in his memory, an hour after she'd landed. No mention of Noah in her curt text. Ryan had texted her again that morning, keeping it casual. How's Barcelona? Enjoying the sights? Her reply came hours later. It's great. Busy exploring. No hint of the truth. No mention of her co-worker. The lie stung sharper than the photo itself. He wanted to call, to confront her, but the pitch demanded his focus. He shoved his phone in his pocket and pushed through, channeling the hurt into his performance. His team noticed his intensity, but chalked it up to the high-stakes deal. You're killing it, his colleague Sam whispered during a break. Ryan forced a smile, his thoughts split between the client and the betrayal unfolding across the Atlantic. Back at his desk, Ryan's phone buzzed with another notification. Another friend, Jenna, had posted a story from Spain, a crowded Barcelona nightclub, lights flashing, and there they were again, his wife and Noah, dancing too close, her smile wide, his hand on her waist. The caption read, "Spotted some familiar faces." Ryan's chest tightened. This wasn't a chance encounter. He opened his wife's social media, something he rarely did, and found her posts. Photos of gaudiest architecture, beach sunsets, sangria glasses, alone, curated, no trace of Noah. The deception was deliberate. He cross-checked Noah's profile, finding a vague post about unexpected adventures in Spain, timestamped the same day she arrived. The pieces clicked. This was planned. Ryan's fingers hovered over his phone, tempted to send a biting message, but he stopped. Confronting her now, mid-pitch, would derail him. Instead, he dug deeper, his marketing instincts kicking in. He searched travel hashtags for Barcelona, finding more tagged photos from strangers at the same nightclub. One showed Noah and his wife at a corner table, leaning in, oblivious to the crowd. The evidence piled up, each image a jab to his gut. He saved the photos, not out of obsession, but as proof, for himself, for clarity. The trust he'd clung to was gone, replaced by a cold certainty. His marriage was unraveling, and she was orchestrating it. That afternoon, the Food Wave execs called for a private meeting. Ryan walked in alone, his presentation ready, his resolve steeled. The lead exec, a no-nonsense woman named Torres, grilled him on scalability. "How do we know your plan won't tank our margins?" she pressed. Ryan leaned in, detailing case studies of similar campaigns, projecting savings with hard numbers. He anticipated every objection, his voice steady, his mind sharp despite the chaos in his heart. By the end, Torres extended her hand. "You've got our trust. Let's keep this partnership." The room clapped, and his team cheered as he walked out. The $10 million contract was safe, and whispers of a promotion buzzed among his colleagues. But the victory felt hollow. There was no one to share it with, no call to make, no joy to text home. Back at the condo that night, Ryan sat alone, the city's hum a faint backdrop. He opened his laptop, not to work, but to search for answers. He pulled up their shared calendar, noticing she'd marked solo trip weeks ago, long before he'd canceled. Suspicion grew. He checked their joint credit card statements. Charges for 2 plane tickets to Spain, not one, booked the same day. The betrayal wasn't impulsive. It was calculated. His phone lit up with a text from her. "Miss you. Spain's amazing." The words felt like a mockery. He didn't respond, his anger simmering into something colder, resolve. Ryan called his friend Mark, a lawyer, and explained the situation in clipped sentences. "I need to know my options. Divorce, assets, the works." Mark listened, then advised gathering evidence and staying calm. "Don't do anything rash," he said. Ryan agreed, but his next move was already forming. He contacted a private investigator through a discreet referral, asking for confirmation of her activities in Spain. It wasn't about revenge, it was about protecting himself. The investigator promised a report within days. Ryan hung up, feeling a strange clarity. He wouldn't confront her yet, not until he had everything he needed. The next morning, Ryan returned to Apex, his focus razor-sharp. The Food Wave team requested a final presentation to seal the deal, and he delivered, his slides flawless, his answers airtight. The execs signed a contract, and his boss, Carla, pulled him aside. "You're on track for Seattle. The new branch needs a leader like you." Ryan nodded, the opportunity a lifeline amid the personal wreckage. He spent the day mentoring his team, keeping busy, but his phone stayed close. The investigator's email arrived that evening. A detailed log of his wife and Noah's movements in Barcelona. Hotels, restaurants, late-night outings, all corroborated with timestamps and receipts. The report was clinical, but each line felt like a blade. Ryan sat back, the evidence undeniable. He thought of their early years, the late-night talks, the shared dreams, the vows. They built a life, or so he thought. Now, it was a facade, crumbling under her choices. He didn't cry or rage, he planned. He'd finish the Food Wave deal, secure his promotion, and then face her. The pitch was his anchor, the divorce his next step. As he prepared for the final day, in Chicago, a new text arrived from her. "Home tomorrow. Can't wait to see you." Ryan stared at the screen, his heart heavy, but his path clear. He wouldn't let her lies define him. He'd rebuild, stronger, smarter, alone. The Chicago office of Apex Solutions buzzed with energy as the final day of the Food Wave pitch arrived. Ryan stood at the head of the conference room, his slides projecting sharp data on sustainable packaging. The client's executives, now familiar with his confidence, leaned in as he outlined long-term savings and environmental impact. He fielded their questions with ease, countering concerns about implementation with real-world examples and precise figures. His team exchanged glances, impressed by his command under pressure. By noon, the lead exec, Torres, stood to shake his hand. "We're sold. Contract's yours." Applause broke out, and his boss, Carla, gave him a nod that signaled more than approval. Seattle was closer than ever. The $10 million deal was secure, a career-defining win. But as his colleagues celebrated, Ryan's mind was elsewhere, anchored to the private investigator's report burning a hole in his inbox. The evidence was airtight. His wife and Noah had coordinated their Spain trip weeks in advance, sharing a hotel room, dining at intimate restaurants, and hitting Barcelona's nightlife together. Receipts, timestamps, even a grainy photo of them checking in together confirmed it. The betrayal wasn't a fleeting mistake. It was deliberate, planned while Ryan was pouring his heart into their anniversary surprise. He hadn't responded to her latest text, the one claiming she couldn't wait to see him. The words felt like a taunt, each one widening the chasm between them. He left the office early, needing space to think, and drove to a quiet diner near Lake Michigan. Over black coffee, he reread the investigator's report, the reality sinking in. His marriage wasn't just broken. It had been alive for longer than he'd realized. Back at the condo, the silence was deafening. Her flight was due in a few hours, and Ryan knew the confrontation was inevitable. He sat at the kitchen counter, the investigator's photos spread out on his laptop screen, each one a silent accusation. His phone buzzed, a notification from a travel app showing her flight had landed. No text from her, though. He waited, the minutes dragging, until the door clicked open. She walked in, suitcase in tow, her steps light as if nothing was amiss. "Hey," she said, setting her bag down. "Chicago treat you okay?" Her tone was casual, almost rehearsed. Ryan's jaw tightened. He didn't stand, didn't smile. "How was Spain?" he asked, his voice low, deliberate. She froze for a split second, then shrugged. "Amazing. Barcelona's unreal. You'd have loved it." She moved to the fridge, avoiding his gaze. Ryan opened his laptop, turning the screen toward her. The photo of her and Noah at the top of his bar filled the display, her hand on his arm, their laughter frozen in time. "Care to explain this?" he said, his words sharp but controlled. She glanced at the screen, her posture stiffening. "That's nothing. Just ran into Noah at a bar. You're blowing this out of proportion." Her voice wavered, betraying her. Ryan swiped to the next image. Her and Noah at the hotel check-in, then another from the nightclub. "And these? Just more coincidences?" He pressed. She crossed her arms, her tone shifting to defense. "You're spying on me now? That's low, even for you." Ryan stood, his patience thinning. "Spying? I didn't need to. Your trip's all over social media, and you didn't even hide it well. 2 plane tickets, same hotel, same restaurants. You planned this with him." Her eyes darted away, and for the first time, she didn't have a quick comeback. "I felt alone," she said finally, her voice quieter. "You're always working, always chasing the next big thing. Noah was there. It just happened." Ryan shook his head, her excuse landing like a weak punch. "It didn't just happen. You chose it. Weeks ago, while I was planning our anniversary." The air grew heavy. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it, her hands fidgeting. Ryan didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "I trusted you," he said. "I built my life around us, and you threw it away for someone who doesn't even respect what we had." She looked down, tears welling, but he wasn't swayed. "I'm done," he said, closing the laptop. "I'm moving to the guest room. Tomorrow, I'm calling the lawyer. This ends now." She reached for his arm, but he stepped back. "Please, we can talk this out," she pleaded. Ryan shook his head. "You made your choice. I'm making mine." That night, he lay awake in the guest room, the weight of the decision settling in. It wasn't just about the photos or the lies. It was the absence of remorse, the ease with which she dismissed him. He thought of the food wave win, the promotion waiting in Seattle, the life he could build without her shadow. His phone lit up with an email from Carla. "Seattle branch is yours if you want it. Lead roll, full control. Let me know by Monday." Ryan didn't hesitate. He typed a quick reply. "I'm in." The decision felt like a lifeline, a chance to leave the wreckage behind. The next morning, he met with his lawyer friend, Mark, at a downtown cafe. Over coffee, Ryan laid out the evidence, his voice steady. "I want a clean divorce, no drama. We sell the condo, split everything evenly." Mark nodded, jotting notes. "You've got a strong case. Keep those records, but stay civil. She might push back." Ryan agreed, his focus shifting to logistics. He contacted a realtor to list the condo, then reached out to a Seattle contact to scout apartments. Each step felt like shedding a weight he'd carried too long. As he drove back to the condo, a text came from her. "Can we talk?" "I am sorry." Ryan didn't reply. Sorry didn't erase the weeks of planning, the lies, the public betrayal. He parked, staring at the building they'd once called home. Inside, she was on the couch, her eyes red, but he didn't soften. "I've started the process," he said, keeping his distance. "We're selling the place. You can stay until it's done, but I'm moving forward." She nodded, silent, her fight gone. Ryan turned away, his mind already in Seattle, where a new chapter waited, one he'd write on his own terms. Seattle's waterfront buzzed with energy as Ryan stepped into his new role at Apex Solutions' West Coast branch. The move from Chicago had been swift. Condos sold, assets split, divorce papers signed with no contest. He'd left behind the life he'd known, carrying only what fit in 2 suitcases and a resolve to rebuild. The Seattle office, a sleek hub of innovation, hummed with potential. Ryan's promotion to branch leader came with authority to shape strategy, and he dove in, assembling a team to tackle eco-focused campaigns for tech and retail giants. His days were packed with meetings, pitches, and late-night strategy sessions, each task a brick in the new foundation he was laying. Yet, the sting of betrayal lingered, a quiet ache that surfaced in moments of stillness. His ex-wife had moved to her sister's place in Ohio, her texts dwindling to nothing after the divorce finalized. She'd sent one last message, admitting her regret, but Ryan hadn't replied. Her choices were hers to carry. He was done shouldering them. Seattle offered a fresh rhythm. Rainy mornings, vibrant markets, and a chance to redefine himself. At Apex, his leadership style, collaborative, direct, earned quick respect. He mentored new hires, shared insights over coffee runs, and pushed for bold campaigns that landed clients like a major outdoor retailer. His boss, Carla, called from Chicago to praise his early wins, hinting at a bigger role if he kept the momentum. One afternoon, during a team brainstorm, Ryan met Emma, a project manager hired to streamline operations. She was sharp, catching gaps in proposals others missed, and her quiet confidence stood out. Over weeks, their interactions grew. Quick chats about campaign logistics turned into longer talks about career goals and past mistakes. Emma shared her own story, a messy breakup years ago, a move to Seattle to start over. Her honesty, free of pretense, felt like a balm to Ryan's guarded heart. He found himself looking forward to their meetings, her dry humor cutting through the office grind. Their connection deepened outside work. One Saturday, Emma invited him to a hike in the Olympic National Forest. The trail was rugged, the air crisp, and their conversation flowed effortlessly. Work, ambitions, lessons learned from broken trust. She didn't pry about his past, but he opened up about the Spain trip, the photos, the divorce. "You didn't let it define you," she said, pausing on the trail. "That's rare." Ryan nodded, the words sinking in. For the first time, he felt seen, not pitted. They grabbed coffee after, a ritual that became weekly, hikes, markets, quiet talks over diner breakfasts. The bond grew naturally, unforced, built on mutual respect rather than need. Back at work, Ryan's team landed a $15 million contract with a tech startup, his sustainability pitch sealing the deal. The win made industry headlines, and Apex's Chicago HQ took notice, floating his name for a director role. He celebrated with his team at a waterfront bar, but his thoughts drifted to Emma, who'd stayed late to refine the pitch deck. He texted her to join, and she arrived, her presence grounding him amid the noise. They stepped outside, the Puget Sound stretching before them. "You're building something real here," she said, her voice steady. Ryan smiled, realizing he was building more than a career. Meanwhile, his ex-wife's life unraveled. A mutual friend mentioned she'd split with Noah, the co-worker from Barcelona. She was back in Chicago, working a new job, trying to piece herself together. Ryan felt no satisfaction, only distance. Her regret couldn't undo the lies, and he'd stopped seeking closure from her. He focused on Seattle, new clients, new routines, new possibilities. The divorce had freed him, not broken him, and he guarded that freedom fiercely. One evening, Emma joined him for a walk along Alki Beach. They talked about the future, her dream to launch a nonprofit, his goal to reshape Apex's global strategy. As the sun dipped, she paused. "You're not afraid to start over. That's why I trust you." Her words hit deep, a reminder of how far he'd come. They weren't rushing, weren't labeling things, but the connection felt solid, like a foundation that could hold weight. Ryan realized he wasn't just healing. He was growing into someone stronger. The next week, Carla called with an offer. Lead Apex's expansion in Portland, a step toward the C-suite. Ryan waited, discussing it with Emma over dinner at a taco truck. "Portland's close," she said, her tone practical but warm. "You'd kill it." He laughed, her support a quiet anchor. He accepted the role, not just for the title, but for the chance to keep building. Seattle had become home, not because of the city, but because of the life he was carving out. One where trust, not betrayal, set the terms. As he packed for a scouting trip to Portland, an email arrived from his ex-wife. It was brief, She was sorry, had learned from her mistakes, wished him well. Ryan read it once, then archived it. Her words didn't stir anger or pain, just indifference. His peace was his own now, earned through choices she'd never understand. He closed his laptop, grabbed his keys, and headed to meet Emma for coffee. The past was behind him. The future was his to shape. The Seattle skyline sparkled under a clear evening sky, a rare break from the usual drizzle. 2 years had passed since the divorce, and Ryan stood at the helm of Apex Solutions' Portland expansion, his new director role a testament to his relentless drive. The office, a hub of innovation, thrived under his leadership. New contracts with eco-conscious tech firms rolled in, and his team's campaigns were setting industry benchmarks. He'd built a reputation as a leader who delivered, mentoring his staff with the same focus he'd once poured into saving the food wave deal. But now his life extended beyond work. Emma, the project manager who'd become his anchor, was by his side, their bond a steady foundation built on shared hikes, late-night talks, and a mutual refusal to let the past dictate the future. Their relationship had grown organically, rooted in trust rather than haste. Weekends found them exploring Puget Sound's trails or grabbing tacos at food trucks, their conversations weaving between work challenges and personal dreams. Emma's nonprofit idea, a platform for sustainable community projects, was taking shape, and Ryan helped refine her pitch, offering the same strategic insight he brought to Apex. She, in turn, grounded him, her calm pragmatism a counterpoint to his intensity. One evening, at a small diner overlooking the Sound, she slid a business plan across the table. "What do you think?" she asked, her eyes scanning his reaction. He read it, impressed by her vision. "This could change lives," he said, handing it back. "Let's make it happen." Her smile, unguarded and genuine, reminded him why he'd chosen this new path. Back at Apex, Ryan's Portland branch was exceeding targets. A major client, a renewable energy startup, signed a $20 million deal after his team's pitch, earning praise from Chicago HQ. Carla, his boss, called to discuss a potential global strategy role, a career leap that would mean more travel but greater influence. Ryan weighed it carefully, discussing it with Emma during a weekend trip to Cannon Beach. They walked the shoreline, the Pacific's waves crashing nearby. "It's a big move," she said, kicking sand. "But you're built for it. I'll be here, or there, if you need me." Her support, free of pressure, sealed his decision. He accepted the role, ready to scale his impact while keeping their bond intact. Meanwhile, his ex-wife's life had unraveled further. A former colleague mentioned she'd returned to Chicago, working a low-key job after her split with Noah. She tried reaching out months ago, her email a brief apology for Spain, for everything. Ryan hadn't responded. Her regret was hers to carry. He'd stopped seeking closure from her choices. His focus was forward, on Apex, on Emma, on the life he was building. The divorce had been a clean break, the condo sale splitting assets evenly, leaving no ties to bind him. Seattle, and now Portland, had become his proving ground, where success wasn't revenge, but a declaration of his worth. One Saturday, Ryan and Emma volunteered at a community cleanup she'd organized, a test run for a nonprofit. They worked side by side, picking up litter along a riverfront trail, their banter light despite the muddy task. A local reporter covering the event approached, asking about her initiative. She spoke passionately, crediting Ryan's strategic input. He waved it off, but her glance held gratitude, a quiet acknowledgement of their partnership. Later, over coffee, she leaned in. "You make things better," she said simply. Ryan felt a warmth he hadn't known in years, a sense of belonging that didn't demand sacrifice. Apex's global role took Ryan to conferences in New York and London, where he pitched sustainable strategies to industry leaders. His name circulated in trade journals, a rising star who turned personal setbacks into professional triumphs. At a New York event, a colleague from Chicago mentioned seeing his ex-wife at a networking mixer, looking lost, trying to rebuild. Ryan nodded, unmoved. Her story was no longer his. He called Emma that night, her voice steadying him across the miles. "Kill it tomorrow," she said. He laughed, promising to bring her a tacky souvenir. Back in Portland, Ryan settled into a rhythm. Work, Emma, community projects. One evening, he checked his email and found another message from his ex-wife. It was short. She'd seen his name in an industry article, was proud, wished him well. No plea for reconciliation, just closure. Ryan read it, then deleted it. Her words held no weight. His peace was earned, not owed. He stepped outside, joining Emma on a balcony overlooking the city. They clinked glasses, toasting her nonprofit's first grant and his latest client win. The moment was small, but profound. Two people choosing each other, not out of need, but from strength. As Ryan prepared for a Tokyo conference, Emma joined him for a planning session, her nonprofit now a partner in Apex's community outreach. They mapped out goals, their collaboration seamless. Walking home through Portland's bustling streets, he realized the betrayal in Barcelona felt like another lifetime. Spain had been a breaking point, but it had led here to a life of purpose, not pain. He glanced at Emma, her focus on a grant proposal, and knew this was his justice. Not her regret, but his own rebirth.